Only through Aaronville. Erinville's the only one, and the thing is that we don't know his background, and we don't know if he's an example of people who, because Charlian has had a trade route with the New World for so long, it's possible that he may have been the result of like parents coming from Charlian and then staying in the New World for a period of time. But we don't so far have any evidence that there is a major Viera population in that place. It is interesting that from 6.55, we know that he has a relationship with Wukla and has known them for a long time. And that Wukla and the children of Gulul Jaja seem to be multiracial, which kind of goes along with Tulio whole thing about like the only way we can prevent everyone fighting in the New World is by being like a very multiracial, multidisciplinary city-state, right? And so that seems to be Gulul Jaja's big focus.
Now, the base laws of like metaphysics and stuff would all still apply star-wide, so it's very likely that they have primals.
In theory, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Vali Garmanda is one.
Okay. And then it would make sense that the Aascians had done things there as well, and had made plans over there. Like, why would they only try to cause... If they were trying to rejoin the whole star, they wouldn't have just tried to start calamities in our backyard. They would have had past calamities in previous backyards. And so when they like stationed... I mean, they basically built the Garleans, right? So... They could have
possibly
built up other races as well.
Oh, you mean building up the Garlean Empire? Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
We could see 100%. Footprints of them elsewhere. So, like, even though we've removed the Aascians, it doesn't mean we've removed their threats.
I would be pretty surprised if Solution 9 is not kind of in some way that it's not part of a legacy of something that the elegans were doing, or the Aascians were doing in order to cause a calamity, either forward thinking or past and then left as a remnant. And again, because it's so associated with lightning, it makes me think, what if the Aascians at very early points during some time like second astral era, which would be some like 8,000-ish years ago, 10,000-ish, 8,000-ish years ago, remember that they have creation technologies, and also they were familiar with hyper advanced technology. So them creating something like Solution 9 as a solution to something, maybe it's a solution to causing calamities, maybe it's a solution to where to store people's souls while they call, like, it could be, you could pitch all sorts of things in order to help facilitate calamity.
Interesting.
I will say the one thing about primals, about whether or not they're there, is it really is dependent on whether the Aascians came in and taught them the art of summoning. To be fair, technically a primal can be summoned without that. We've got examples of that happening via something like what's it's called? Susano, right? Just you had the relics and the proper faith together. So like you wouldn't just require the Aascians coming in to teach that art, but that
wasn't taught, right?
I don't remember. I know don't the Muggles mention that like an Aascian came in and like talked to them a little bit beforehand?
Oh, I thought he was just like a storybook tale that went too far.
He is effectively, but I could have sworn in 2.1 someone mentions that like shadowy Aascians appeared to them. Maybe that might be for the EX. Maybe that might be the justification or something.
Okay.
Oh, so like, hey, how do you make them stronger? Like, I see you did this. Let's get some more crystals. Let's go.
Yeah, to be fair, they basically did do that. I mean, they taught the different groups for Garuda, Titan, and Ifrit in the first place how to summon them, but they also came back and was like, hey, also if you use your kin and use their bones as a source of prayer, it'll make them even more powerful.
Do we have reason to believe that like they would have the same icons, like that they would have the same, that like Titan could have been over there as well?
I would almost assume almost certainly not, just by the fact that literally groups that are, I'm trying to think of a good example of this. Here's an example. Tsukuyomi, right, that Yotsuyu summons is completely different than the mythological version of it, just based on her like conception of it alone. Even if you had, let's say, the Moblin summoning Alexander is a little bit weird because Alexander comes from the Enigma Codex more than anything. The Hanu, if they summoned a creature, would not necessarily summon Bismarck, right? It could be that Vali Garmanda is effectively their version of Bismarck because their mythology is just shifted so much. So I would assume that even if you had something that was akin, it would still be quite different. And also the implication is that almost all the groups that have existed on Tural, other than the ones that are coming for Ceruleum, have been there quite a while, which means that the cultures have shifted far enough that I would assume that their mythology has shifted quite far.
Who do you think we can expect to see over there, as far as NPCs? Like, is this the chance to finally resolve anybody that you think they just before they were like, oh, they're too far away, and like they've actually been in Terral this whole time?
Man, that's so wide ranging. I can't think of any examples off my mind. What I would see is that we would get something like the Wallachui with like the Blue Mages. They're probably in Jacques Terral in the northern region, seeing as they seem like they're based off of North American groups. I mean, there's a lot of really funny NPCs that could be fun to do stories with. These aren't far away, but you have Lorenz, Norwood's adoptive brother, who seems to be frick off over to the New World. I would love to see Emmanuelane and Sickard from the MSQ. They seem like they could do elements of them over there. But I mean, like, do you have any examples of what you mean by like that are like over there?
Well, so didn't Merle Wibb go over there?
Yes, she was the first person in Eorzea to chart a safe and easy path to the New World. Technically,
is she going to take us over there this time?
Maybe. I would definitely imagine that whenever we start the MSQ, we're going to talk to her.
Like, imagine she has a house over there. Like, she's just like
I wouldn't be surprised.
She's got a whole life over there.
Yeah.
Well, guys, you don't see me all the time. I'm here. I'm over there.
I would love it if she retired as like the admiral and then just went over to the New World and just hung out there. Like, that would be such a great story beat.
Yeah, and then like I don't know, like I would like to see existing people have had past relationships there or find out that their parents are from there. Especially people that have traded or gone over there. I assume some Ul'dah merchant has already found out how to make money over there.
Oh yeah.
So it's interesting because one of the things that I'm really personally excited about this is that in my original like 1.0 character bio, because you're on a ship and you're coming into, I came into Limsa Lamenza, like as a part of that, my story was I was actually coming from the New World. So like my character in game started their journey, came from the New World into Eorzea. And that was like what I was like, oh yeah. And it's so like in a way cathartic to see like this. And obviously like I don't have any knowledge of the New World.
Excited about that, or does that bother you?
No, I'm really excited about that.
Might get
so I play an army in Warhammer 40k. You can pick an existing army and that'll tell you how to like paint your guys and how to badge them and all of that. And then you can also make up your own. And then there's in between where they've like had these armies that are documented, but like they've never had a picture taken. They've never, like, they're just super loose. And there was one that was documented through a series of small little blurbs, but it never got its own book. It never got its own codex. It's always just been these brief, like, you have kind of the story behind how they were created, but you never get told what color their armor would be, what kind of units they would use. So it left me really open to play the game the way I wanted, but like there are real people that I can point to in the lore and say like, that's their origin point.
Yeah.
And then years later, they released photos of their color scheme and it doesn't match my color scheme. And so it's like this like shattering moment where like the bungee cord pulls down and all of a sudden like I'm wrong because that's my group and that's not what my army looks like, because I painted it in the years between when they invented them in the lore and when they actually took the time to release a color scheme for them.